Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you the tutorial on how to make this adorable 2.5 by 2.5 micro mini album. It uses magnets and it has a ton of places to put photos. I'm going to show you how to make it, and I'm going to make mine into a ladybug theme, but stay tuned. Let's get started. I think these little mini albums are so cute and so perfect for just having little pictures of either a pet or a baby or a friend or really any kind of things. They measure 2.5 by 2.5 and the spine is roughly about 3/4 of an inch. And then I like to poke or punch a hole here and add a brad, or forget what you call these things. And then you can attach a hook. So anyway, let's get started. It's so simple to make. So the first thing you're going to need is some chipboard. Now I've already cut mine down because I'm going to make another video where I'm going to batch make these, so I needed several at a time. But I have 3 pieces of chipboard here. 2 pieces of chipboard measure 2.5 by 2.5, and this piece of chipboard measures 2.5 by 3/4 of an inch. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to cut a piece of cardstock that is going to cover these 3 pieces. And I'm going to use a piece of black cardstock. It can be regular 65-pound cardstock since we're using chipboard. And I'm going to cut a piece that is going to measure 3.5. Measure that right there. And I'm going to cut it till about, I'm going to say, I'm going to do 7.5. I'm just going to make it a little bit longer just so that I make sure I have it nice and lined up. So I cut that at 3.5 by 7.5. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm just going to use some ATG tape for the tutorial, but you can use glue, anything that's going to give you a nice solid finish. So I'm going to move in about 1/2 inch, center it here in the middle, place that there, then add my spine. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap in between here. Press that down and then add my last piece. And same thing, about 1/8 of an inch. Line that up. Everything's going to get trimmed. And we are going to add a piece to go on top, so it doesn't matter that I didn't scoot it over enough, but perhaps you'll want to just move it over a little bit. All right, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to miter these corners. I'm just going to cut off the corners here, just leaving a tiny bit of space right at the edge, not cutting directly to the cardboard itself. Okay, once those done, I'm going to go ahead and bend my cardstock so I can adhere it. Go. All right. Now you can use tearing tape here or glue. Okay, so I'm going to use glue here. That way I know it's going to stick really good. And I like to put it in that little crevice there too. And then a tiny bit right here in the spine. And I fold it over, give it a good burnish. And then I'm also going to take my bone folder and kind of go in the center here to make sure that that's a good little, that it sticks really well right there. Just kind of give that a bend. Okay, repeat the process all the way around. These little mini albums, they really are so fun, and they're cute, and they're pretty quick to make too. Sometimes I find that the only part that trips me up, or it doesn't trip me up, I tend to not want to do is punch all the holes at the very end, because I don't want to go get my supplies out to do that. But you don't really have to have the holes at all. But I think it's cute because then it can attach to a purse or your keychain. Okay, and then one last. Okay, so that's we covered the cover. So now we want to cut some pieces to cover the inside here. So let me grab my stuff for that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is cut a piece to cover the spine, and that piece is going to measure, looking at my notes, 1.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to cut it at 1.5 and then by 2.5. Actually, I'm going to back off the 2.5 just about 1/8 of an inch. Oops, there we go. So that it can go right there. When we cut our cardstock, it completely covers this, but I am going to go ahead and cover the piece that matches so that way these little corners are covered. Probably for this tutorial, I probably should have done a better job about covering up my my corners here, but you know, sometimes it happens, and this is the real world we live in, so I might as well just do it the real way. That way you can see how I fix something in case you run into the same problem. Okay, so once I adhere that, I'm going to go ahead and just take my bone folder and press it in gently so that it moves and closes really good. And I'll repeat the same thing on this side, just kind of slowly going up. Okay, there, that looks great. All right, so we know that this piece of cardstock, oops, let me get that down a little bit more. I'll have to glue that. So we know that this piece of cards or chipboards are 2.5 by 2.5. So the piece that I'm going to make is 2.5 by 2.5. However, I'm going to back it off just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to cut 2 of those pieces. And the reason I do that is because I don't want it directly to the edge, because I don't want it to stick over or to be anything like that. Because, you know, sometimes when we're cutting something, it doesn't exactly measure them. So 2.5, then I'll back off just about, actually about 1/16 of an inch. And repeat the process. So 2.5, about 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so that'll go on this side. Like I said, I don't really need it on this one because I'm going to cover it, but I'm going to cut one just because. So I'm going to go 2.5, back it off just a little bit, and 2.5, and just about 1/16 of an inch there. Perfect. Now I have these 2 pieces that we're going to cover the inside. And go like just about here. And I don't know if you know this trick, but when you cut off these little squares, when you miter them, you can actually glue them back on, and it'll cover up that space there. So I think I'm actually going to do it on the ones where I can see it. I'm going to glue on these little squares. I meant triangles. I'm going to glue on these little triangles to cover up that little space. Because I did get a little ambitious when I was cutting. And then that way I know that it's going to work. So just add some glue. Then add my little triangle. Make that perfect right on the edge. So you can't see any of that. All right, let me do it again on this side. But obviously, if you took your time, not like I did, because I was in a hurry to get this tutorial done, which I shouldn't be. I don't know why. It's not like anything will happen if I don't get it in time. So I guess it's more pressure I just put on myself. All right, that looks good. And then I'm going to add it one on this side too. And then I'll add those top pieces. So to the end, straighten it out, give it a really good little tug there. There, that's going to look so much better. Now we can add the covers, but I just saw I need to glue this down too. There, now it's all ready. Okay. So we'll do this top here, And I think I'll just use my ATG gun, which needs to be tightened up. I don't know why it's kind of doing that. All right, I'm going to line this up and make sure that I am not on the little crease there. Oh, perfect. I'm happy with that. I'm going to press that down. Now let's add the other one. Do have some glue on there. I'll get my little eraser out. Oh my goodness. Just having all kinds of issues this morning. All right, this one's ready. Line this one up. Make sure it goes to the edge. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna grab my little eraser and get rid of this little glue here that I got on there. You probably won't even see it, but just in case, you never know. There. Okay, the cover is finished. Now this next part is the accordion piece that's going to go here on the inside, and so let me grab my things and we'll make that. Okay, so for the piece that goes on the inside, let me grab the little, I'll show you. So we did the cover, and now we're going to make this piece here. And this is a combination of two pieces that are glued together, and then we're going to score them together too. And then we'll add the magnets. Okay. So the first thing is we need to cut the sheet of paper that we need. So we're going to cut this piece of paper here at 2 1/4 by 12, and you need 2 of them. So 2 1/4 by 12. Okay, so before we glue them together, we're going to score. And so this is how we're going to score them. Each piece you're going to score the exact same measurements. All right, so I'm going to put my glasses on. Okay, so you're going to score at 2 1/4. Then you're going to score at 4 1/2. Next, you're going to score at 6 3/4. And then we're going to score at 9. And then we're going to score at 11 1/4. Okay, so let's repeat that with the second piece. So 2 1/4, 4 1/2, 6 3/4, 9, and 11 1/4. Okay, so now we're going to fold and burnish these, but we're going to do them opposite. So you start with one way, and then it goes, the next fold is going to go the next way. So I don't know what you would call that, maybe like a zigzag, but you just want to keep folding them the opposite way. Now there is a small little piece that I like to cut off, but I did see somebody who at one time made a little pocket, and that's a cute idea if you want to do that. All right, so again, we're going to, if we start with to the left, we'll go to the right next time, just lining it up as you fold. Okay, there we go, perfect. Okay, now, so I'm actually going to adhere this to my cover first to get it started. And the reason I do that is just because I like to make sure that it's going to go the right way. And so it needs to be able to open to the left, just like it is a book. So your first piece is going to have to go, I guess you're going to say that the accordion is actually going to go to the right. So you're going to put it on the right side of your cover, and just going to glue that down. Just center it in the middle, making sure you're staying away from the fold, the center fold, that is. Okay. Right. Center that. What I like to do is I like to go ahead and close it up and lift it up, and then make sure everything's lined up really nice. because it's going to make a difference when you pull out your accordion. Okay, I think that looks good. So now I can just really burnish that down. Okay, so the next thing you want to do, or the last thing really for creating the cover, is that you need to attach these together. And so we're going to follow the way that it's bent. So we're going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's going to continue. So we're going to take the little flap here and we're going to glue it to the second piece, right like this. Just flip that over. Line it up nice and neat to the edge. Make sure it's nice and straight. Give it a little burnish. And there we go. Okay, so this is what it should be. Look, this is what it should look like. Is up, down, up, down, up, down. I guess that's like mountain, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. Now, I normally cut this little piece off. I just like to cut it off because I want the very first thing when you see either to be something really cute or to have a picture here. But if you wanted to, you could just glue the sides down and it could be a little pocket. So that's just one option, but I'm going to cut mine off right at the edge because I don't need it. Okay, perfect. So this part is done, and now we need to add ribbon and magnets, but magnets are going to come first. Okay, so I use these magnets here that I got off of Amazon, and I'm trying to see, they're 8 by 1 millimeter. They're pretty good. They're pretty thin. You probably could get smaller ones and thinner ones, but these are the only ones I have right now, so I'm going to use them. Okay, so what we're going to do is the first magnet we're going to put is in the center of this. And so I just attach a little sticky, these particular ones come with little circles that are sticky circles. So I'm going to attach that there. And I put the magnet not quite in the center, but basically on the edge here. And then I close the first flap and I just throw that down to make sure it's the right polarization there. So I know that that's the way that it needs to go. So I'm just going to pick it up and put it on the back. That. And then I'll know where to put it. Here. I kind of let it do its thing. So I'm going to repeat the process. I close it, get a magnet ready, put it there so it's ready. Add my little sticky. Pick that up and put it on the back. And repeat the process through all of them, but not on the top. And I'll show you what to do on the top. So I'm just going to be quiet, let this happen. Go. There we go. And then on this last one, I do go ahead and put another magnet on top. So this particular keychain does take a lot of magnets, or this little album takes a lot of magnets, but it's so very cute, and I think it's worth it. Without them, it won't really stay closed, but I'm sure that there are ways to do it. There's so many creative people out there. Okay, so that way with the magnets, so now you can kind of open it as if it's a book first. So you just kind of open the pages like this, and then like a little book. And then of course also you can pull it apart like that. Now, even though these magnets seem a little too strong right now, they won't be once you're putting paper on the top and the back and on the insides. It's just enough. Okay, so the next thing we need to do before we decorate it is we'll need to add some ribbon. So let me put this away and we can do that. Okay, so I have my ribbon. I cut 2 pieces of roughly 12 inches long. And then what we need to do is we're just going to glue it to the center here on the outside cover. And I just put a little glue, and this glue is really good. We'll decorate on top of it so it'll stay. And then I'll just add, or like to add, a little paper clip until that dries. So I'm going to flip that over, line it up, add my second piece of ribbon, and I'm going to get that out of the way, but I guess I don't need it out of the way. Second piece of ribbon. Okay, and oops, let's try that one more time. I just knocked it right off. There we go. There. Let that dry for just a second. Okay, so the base is completely finished and ready to go, ready to be decorated. So I think I'll end the video here, and I do have a part 2 where I'm actually going to decorate this. But please let me know if you have any questions or comments, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for crafting with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.